Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we are MV Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Encyclopedia. This is a 1 to 4 player game. It is published by Holy Grail Games and designed by Eric Debris and Olivier Mellison. Nick is going to go through how you play and then we're going to give our reviews.
Okay, we're set up here for a 2-player game of Encyclopedia. In this game, we're going to be focusing on one player in particular, and I already, to save space, I put my player board over top of the publication action, which we will talk about at the end of the video. So this will be my player board right here. We start with a couple animals that we drafted at the beginning of the game. This game, you're considered a naturalist. You're one of the best of your time, and you're helping build this encyclopedia in the 1700s, doing research on different animals. It's a game played over 6 rounds, and it's a dice placement game, meaning that you place dice on the board in different spots to do different types of actions. The value of the dice oftentimes does matter, but sometimes it does not, depending on the action that you choose. So we're going to go ahead and play a round, essentially, or pick actions from every spot for one round, just so you see how this works. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to reveal what happens in round 1 up top. And these are usually bonuses. Sometimes they are nil. There's nothing on them. In this case, we revealed one that gives us 3 coins. Every player gets 3 coins to start. On top of this starts the coins that you do start the game with, which we've already done in setup. So I will get 3 coins. My opponent will get 3 coins. And now let's talk about some actions here that we can do. We also start with this expedition, by the way. We start with one of these. It doesn't matter what player you are, player 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. You're going to get one of these expedition tokens as well. We'll talk about that soon. Actually, let's talk about it now, because the first action I want to talk about is this is what do they consider that? The embassy? Yes, I believe this is what they call the embassy. This is where you can get more of those. Depending on your dice that you put there, you're going to get these tokens. They're expedition tokens, I believe they're called. Expedition tokens, if you have a 1 or a 2, you get 1. A 3 or a 4, you get 2. And a 5 or 6, you get 3 expedition tokens if you go to this embassy action. Another action here is the bank. You can go here and simply get 5 coins. It does not matter what color or what number is on the die. You're going to get 5 coins. You will also get the first player token if you are the first player there. This is the first player token. I should say that some of these are deluxe components, so they may not be in retail. For instance, I don't think this block of wood will be a retail version in these metal coins, obviously. And these are cardboard, but in this version they are wooden. Okay. Another action you can do is go to the university, and you can collect one of these experts out here. They have colors associated with them, which we'll get into soon, and they also have actions associated with them. Some of them are endgame actions, some of them are ongoing actions, and some of them are immediate actions. Of these on the board, I can see that we have the ongoing and endgame. So I'll grab one of each. And if you play a lot of games, you're probably used to these types of symbols. This infinite symbol means it is ongoing. As long as it's not exhausted and it's on your board in one of these 4 spots, you can only have 4 active at one time, that this will be the case. This action will be the case. Every time you do this particular action, you'll get 3 coins. And this would be an end game. The bell always means end game, that you care about this. Victory points for coins. So if I were to take those, when you do that, you assign a die. If you assign a die that has the correct color up top, then you will also get 1 of those expedition coins. However, you do not need to do that. You just don't get that bonus if you do not match the right color. So I should mention, to start the entire round, we're drawing 4 at random from this dice bag. And then we want to place them in these spots. So we're going to roll them. And then you're going to determine where you want to place these. So we look at other players, what they may be trying to do, what dice they need. And these give you immediate bonuses if another player takes one of those dice. That's all they do. They don't trigger when you take the dice. They trigger when other people take your dice, because people can freely take dice from their own board or other players' boards. So let's just say I did this. It's a small part of the game, but it is a part of the game because it will also trigger end of round. When all dice from all players are used, that means the round's over because everyone's used actions. So these are just bonuses that you will get if other players take your dice. There's one here that is no bonus at all. So you probably want to put your weakest dice that people don't want here, or a dice. If you're the first player, maybe you know you're going to do this action first. You can go ahead and put that there so you can use it on your first turn. No one else can take the dice. It doesn't even give you a bonus. Things like that. Okay, back to the actions. So here is where you can acquire these animal cards. This is called the Academy. When you go here, you're going to also get an immediate bonus depending on the die value. You will get to move up these tracks, and this track is represented right here on your board. You'll have this little thing right here. So you'll be able to move far down depending on how high it was. So if I played a 2, I would only move 1. Also note that there are immediate bonuses when you land or pass through these areas on your board. You can see them pre-printed, and they're all the same. So as far as every board is the same. Okay, so that is one thing you do there. The other thing is you can acquire a card. Now, there are a lot of reasons you would acquire different cards. You see that I picked these two to start with. Maybe I'd want to match the continent, in which case it'd be the dark blue up here, or I'd want to match some of these properties at the bottom. And there are different reasons to do that. I'll go over more of that in the publication type, expedition type of actions. But for right now, we want to know which we're going to go for. We see we have a lot of elephants there. There's a lot of elephants here. There's also a blue. So let's just say, oh, I will go ahead and take this one here. And that goes added right there. That's what you do here. These get replenished at the end of the round as well. And you also get more for more players. You can see this one will fill up in a 3-player game. This one will fill up in a 4-player game. All right, down here, expeditions. Expeditions, you're going to put a die. Oh, also note that when you place one of those dice, you are going to want to put the like color if you have it. If you have a color, so I would probably play my, let's say I played my 3 blue in order to take that blue. So it does matter. However, now I'll get into what you can do to mitigate that. If you did not have a blue, which is, perfectly normal because there's several colors in here and you might draw multiples of the same, you can spend one of these expedition tokens. These have two reasons, two uses, let's say. You can either use them to change the color of a die, or you can use them to increase the value by 2 of the die. That's what these do. So if I did not have a blue, I can play my yellow and throw this on it. Now it's a 4 blue instead of a 4 yellow. That's one of the things you can do. Okay, so I did that action. Now let's go down to the actions over here, the expedition actions. Again, we're going to want the same colored. So if we are going to do the blue area, the continent over there, then we're going to place a blue die here. And we place it at the left. There's a 5 right here. And you see we're going to immediately get three of those stars on this track. However, if this was filled up and other people went there, you can see that it's actually going to get easier to do expeditions because it's adding totals to the value of the die right there. And that matters. This is the spot where the value of the dice matters the most, the value that you're putting on it, because doing expeditions is very difficult. You have to spend a lot of resources, dice and other resources, to increase the value of those dice because it is costly to do these. So another way you can do, instead of spending expedition tokens, you can spend coins, and you get 1 pip on the die, 1 value per coin you spend. That's another way you can mitigate the die that you put there. So in this case, I can only do an expedition on the blue continent. So I will go ahead and look at these two. And I see that I have matches on the elephant, which is a level 1. So they are mammals. But I don't have any matches other than that. So I could go ahead and focus on these different ones, but it would not match. So right now, I know for sure I wanted to do the mammal action. So that will cost 2 each. And it shows what level and how many action points it costs. And action points would be the value of the die. So I have 5 already, and that would cost me 4, so I'd have 1 left. And when I do that, I put the cubes on the spots that I went ahead and did. Now let's just say I want to do the wave. This wave action, I'll go ahead and do. It's a level 3, and it costs me 7. So I have 1 left over because I spent 4, 2 and 2. I have 1 left over, so I still need to come up with 6. So what I could do is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Spend these, and now I have a value of 6, and I can put a cube on this action right there, this slot, and it will give me 3 points immediately, as you can see. And then I am done there as soon as I move this 1, 2, 3 and get that bonus. Okay, that is doing expedition. So let me move this out of the way so we can talk about publication. This is the most complex action of the game. So I'm going to keep this here. And now let's say I want to publish. I want to get these cubes onto the board because this is going to give me immediate points and it will possibly give me endgame points. So I want to go ahead and publish. Let's say I want to publish all 3 of these cubes. So these are my animals. And I want to publish the blue. So I got one of these. I'm going to change this die right here to blue by spending that. So it is a 4 blue. And I want to do a level up to level 3. So level 3, you can see it will cost me 5. So I will need to have a value of 5. So I'm going to go ahead and spend one of my coins, and now it's at 5 blue. So I can publish everything from the blue cards that I have out here. So it does not matter. I start with the highest level, in this case right here, and I will go ahead and put this 1 cube right here. I get 5 victory points for that, and I go ahead and track that up here. 5 victory points immediately. Then I will say I don't have anything level 2, and I have 2 of these mammals. So I'll take both of these cubes, place them here, and get 4 victory points, 2 plus 2. Now, hypothetically, let's say I had this squirrel right here, and I also put a mammal on that. Note that I would have to go right here in the expedition. I would have to go on one of these. You start at the left, by the way. I have to go here in order to even put that here. But let's say I did that, and I had that there. I can go ahead and take one of those as well. It doesn't have to be from the same continent. But what happens is I published for this continent, but I used a cube for this continent. So these blue ones, the ones I actually look to publish, I will keep for endgame scoring. I'll flip them over and keep them in my area. This one gets discarded. I used a cube from this area. So I did do some research on it and had an expedition and all that. However, they're not part of my publishing of this continent. So this actually gets discarded if I removed a cube from there. But if I instead did not remove a cube from there, or did not put a cube or use a cube, then that can stay. That can stay for later in the game when I start working on this continent of the Americas. So these go in, and we'll talk about why that matters, what these are going to do, but these are all going to be end game type things. So those are all the actions you can do on the board. Let's talk about end game, because you're going to play 6 rounds and those using all those actions. You're going to play 6 rounds every time, revealing a new event type thing at the top. And when that is done and we do end game scoring. Oh, one other thing. When you publish, when you finish your publishing, you get one of these seals. These seals allow you to, they're similar to the expedition, but they're more powerful. They allow you to change the color. You can spend them to change the color of a die and increase its value by 5, all in one token. Or you can do 2 other things. You can get money for them. It acts as money. You can go ahead and do it one extra turn at the end of a round. You can spend, everyone goes around and you can spend a seal. You have that option. And lastly, they are worth 4 victory points at the end of the game if you keep them. 4 points each. So I mentioned those. Okay, so on top of the 4 points you're gonna get for your seals that you get through, you can earn them through publishing, or you can earn them. You can see on your board, the very far right of your board is one of those seals, and you can see the arrow here that tells you, hey, go back to the beginning when you do get that seal. You go back to the beginning every single time. So end game scoring is going to be looking at sets. Now you do not have a set. I'm going to flip this over because this talks about end game scoring. These talk about sets. So you have 2 different types of sets. You have sets you earn from this board. So let's say the board looked like this for the green player. There we go. You're going to earn sets, and they start at 4. If you do not have 4, at least, then you're not going to earn a set for that. It's going to be null. You've earned the points during the game. You have those immediate points that you earn, but you're not going to earn points for the sets shown here. So you can see there are 2 types. There's types for the cubes here, and also the cards you have. So let's talk about the cubes first. In this case, the green player has 9 cubes on the mammal. So 9, you just look on the board, it is 22 points. You move 22 points, plain and simple. Less than 4, less than 4, less than 4, less than 4, and this has 6. So look at this, 8 points. That's how that works. Now the cards, you are going to go ahead and collect cards, and these are going to pair up with these. So if you had any cards, it doesn't matter if they're face up or face down, if you had any cards here that you are going to go ahead and take and make sets with. Now this is less than 4, but it's the same exact concept as this. So I don't really have to go into detail. If I have 4 or more cards that you type here, then you're going to go ahead and get those points for those sets. Otherwise, in this case, no points. 3 and 1, that's less than 4, 0 points. All right, and then you can see that if you get more than 12, it's 5 points for each. So that's all that says. And I already mentioned the seals, 4 points for every seal. You also get 1 point for every single 2 coins, 1 point for every 2 coins, 1 point for every expedition token, and points based upon things that have those bell icons on the university card, the expert cards that you got in the university. And there you go. That should be all your points there. That's how you play Encyclopedia. Vic and I are going to go back to up top and tell you what we think of the game.
All right. Thank you, Nick, for the overview of how you play. I guess we can start off our reviews. It's been a little while since we've done a review on the channel. I know Andrew and Sam have done reviews lately.
Yeah, we paired with them on Endless Winter, and the review before that, I can't even remember.
I know.
I just looked, and I forgot what it was.
It's been a while for sure. Was it Anno?
It was Anno.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So, still kind of getting back in the swing of this. We definitely want to publish more videos. So anyway.
This one was a Kickstarter. So we did an unboxing previously, and now we're getting the chance to review it. It's a new hotness, I feel like, kind of. I don't hear that much buzz, but it did just get to people's houses. So, especially in the U.S. I think maybe in Europe they had it earlier. So, very anticipated game. Euro, dice placement. It seems that it's a game that I would like. I know Andrew said right when he saw the game, it felt like this is a Nick game, and I was really anticipating it. It looks excellent. You can start right at the top by the art is fantastic, way above average, and I like every card in the game. I think that everything's really well done. Everything's really well published. It's well presented. The components are good, and it has great decisions, which I tend to like in games. I'm not going to give my review just yet, but I tend to like games that have great decisions. So it did seem like it was a game for me. What were your first impressions, Vic?
Well, when we did the unboxing video, as soon as I saw the cover and I saw those palm cockatoos or black cockatoos, I think they're palm ones. When I saw that, I got so excited. I said, this is a good game already.
That's all it took.
Yeah, that's all it took. But then once we opened it up and I saw the beautiful art of the game and the quality of the fact that they gave you sleeves for those cards, so we immediately were sleeving all of the cards we had for the game. And just, it wasn't too complicated to learn either. So when we were looking into learning the game, it didn't seem that difficult to get my head around.
Okay.
That was like the first impressions I had of it.
Okay. So, positives?
Well, definitely the artwork. The production quality for me is very high on this. I thought that the simplicity of the rule set was pretty straightforward to me. I didn't think that it was too tricky or anything like that. There's definitely strategies that you can deploy in this game. You can change how you want to approach it. You don't always have to do the same thing. You could try for different sort of I don't know how to describe it, because
you can do different attributes. You can do different continents.
That's what I mean to say. Yeah, thank you. Kind of lost it there. Yeah, and I also like the fact that you are able to use dice in the game, because I just love rolling dice and then getting to assign them, and what is that, dice placement?
Yeah, you're doing a little bit of dice placement right from the top, right? When you're doing on your board, you're deciding what bonuses you're going to get if people do use your dice.
Yeah, that's it.
It's not devastating to use other people's dice. Like, you don't get hurt, really. Occasionally, maybe like, oh, I really want that dice for something, but it's not that big a deal. There is a lot of choices, and like you said about endgame, even for scoring, there's a lot of choices, because you can go for endgame things that will give you different attributes. If you want a lot of forest or whatever attribute you'd like, you can go for those cubes on that, or you can go and try to get the most combinations. You can get those publications and really focus on the continents, getting the same colors out, so it gives you bigger sets. There is some diminishing returns at a certain point. I'm not sure if it was 11 or 10 when you get so many of them that it doesn't quite pay out as much as it was. But it does have like a little curve, a little bell curve on it.
Yeah.
And you don't just get them from your animals; you can get them from individuals up top too. We can get those cards, and those count toward your sets, which I think is a nice touch. It gives you more incentive not just go for the ability, but maybe go for a color that is interesting and a nice touch. So you can go for those points. There's a lot of different things to consider, and there's the if I'm all around, I think it's a nice game. All around, I'm gonna say it's a nice game before I get into my negative. My only real negative is publication, that it slows the game down, and there's some things the rule book isn't as clear as it doesn't need to be that convoluted as it was, as it made it. They threw like an extra sentence in there that really threw off the rules, where you about the publishing and getting rid of
And
the
discarding all other cards. Yeah.
yeah, and it didn't need to be there, and it made it compounded it when you added the expansion, Magna, what was it, Itinerus? I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
And it compounded because then there was just more questions about, okay, well, this person has ability. When I publish, can I does this go away? Can I keep it out here for the ongoing? Do I get these end game points if I publish it? No. Okay. It just added more questions, and it felt like the rules weren't terribly clear. That's all. That's the only real criticism I have about the game. What about you?
I agree. I mean, it was so much so that it was driving us crazy.
And it drove a lot of people crazy.
And then, even others that normally are
we
not
know.
sticklers for rules too crazy, they can kind of go with it.
Board Game Geek, the forums were like
that too.
questions over and over again about this. Like,
Yeah.
okay, it seems like this is not just us. A lot of people are having this issue.
Yeah, I mean, I never really post comments that often to ask a question. We generally can find the answer, but yeah, it seems to be a translation thing. I may be incorrect though, but I think there was something about just the way that sentence, where it's located. It could be with the other paragraph, and then you would know it's talking about those. But the fact that it's in a separate paragraph is what leads you to think it's another stage or it's another aspect of the instruction. But in any case, if you heard us say it, you've probably seen the VGG forums, and you could understand you don't have to discard it. But even when we were discarding them, it wasn't terrible to me. It wasn't that bad. I'm like, okay, so I got, the temporary point bonus. It didn't destroy me, but then it got, like you said, I don't want to beat the point too much, but with the expansion, that's when it was like, oh, I don't want to discard this guy. What do you mean? I can never publish? Yeah. So
another negative I'll say about the expansion, and this is just stuff they add on, so it's hard to be a negative, but if you back a Kickstarter and you get these perks, I don't like the ones, like, we don't even use them because I was reading what they do. Those there's different types in there. They're just like certain promos. I wasn't impressed by any of them. They're all just kind of throw the game off almost. It's like, I'm never going to use these. So I just put them back in the box. I didn't really share them with you, but
you didn't even say anything about it. No.
I looked at them. I looked at what they do. I'm like, wow, these aren't interesting at all. They're just kind of like ruining the game a little bit. So I was like, if you're going to include a promo, make it cooler, I guess. But is what it is. It's a bonus. Just I'll never use the bonus, unfortunately. But that's about it. Negatives. So,
I'm grateful that you saved me and protect me from uncool things.
Yeah.
So
it was almost like a joke. Like those cards almost seem like a joke. They're kind of like a spoof.
Yeah. Nick didn't want to diminish my experience with the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to scores.
Score time. Okay. So this is my score. It's a 9-1.
Wow.
Yeah, I really like it. Yeah, I like it a lot. I enjoy it. Did take a little long. I guess we didn't speak to our experiences. We played it at 2 players and we played it at 4 players. It was pretty long at 4 players, and that included the teach. And again, it's not a symptom of the people we were playing with or anything like that.
Publication.
It's the publication step for sure, and you have to watch people. You gotta really see what's going on, because they're, especially if they're playing for the first time, you want to make sure that everyone's paying the right cost, because it's not like, oh, level 3 is 3 coins, which you might think. You know what I mean? The level 3 is like 7? Yeah, it's 7. So something
that's
like
on
that.
the expedition phase. There's 7.
Oh, okay.
Expedition phase is 7.
Not publication. I'm sorry.
Yeah, publication.
That was another thing though that you had to watch for. So that was sort of the difficulty. Is I like it at 2. It's okay though, because we mainly play games at 2. Yeah. So that's where I don't get too upset, and it can go pretty snappy once people are executing their turns. Yeah.
Once you're really familiar with the game and the publication is not a burden to you, it's actually fairly quick. It's not that bad. There's only 6 rounds. I taught the game, so it's only 6 rounds, and there's only a certain amount of actions. Some of them pretty straightforward. Publication does tie up the game a little bit, but is what that is. I will give my score and it is very similar to yours. Mine's a straight 9.
Ooh.
Very happy with this backing.
Mhm.
Very happy. I want to keep playing it. I like it so much.
Same.
I did not want to put it away. I want to keep playing it, keep playing it, keep playing it. There's something gratifying about this game, and it's a nice mix of choices and puzzle and just different tactics every single time you play. A lot of replayability here. I enjoy it all around. A great game.
Definitely what he said. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like, thumbs up. Really, it helps to grow our reach, and subscribe if you have not already. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.